already got the Brooklyn Nets favorite to win a title. Just due to the 6 game winning streak, they're like, oh, they win games against LA, the Clippers, and things of that nature. And while, eventually they're gonna win a title. Like if they stay together, the collection of three, they're gonna win a title because the Nets aren't gonna make the same mistake that OKC made, which is blow up the gang before they could even, compete for multiple titles. We all know OKC had Westbrook, Harden, Durant, and Serge Ibaka all on one team and blew them up. I think it was like after a year or two. They went to one finals and then they blew them up. They didn't want to pay Harden the extra amount of money and so on and so forth. It goes, it goes. They're gonna win a title. Under what circumstance, I don't know. But I don't really necessarily think it's this year. Now, that's very ambitious to win the title your first year. It was very few teams have done that. Like, shoot. Golden State Warriors did that when they got KD, but they had KD. I mean, that's it. But still, even then, you could say they had certain trials and tribulations there as well. You know what I'm saying, with Houston. But it's a very ambitious thing to set your sights on year one because you haven't built those championship habits quite yet. Because everything that everybody's seeing in the 6 game win streak, they're great offensively. However, there are a few things defensively which always allow a team in the game. So with the Brooklyn Nets, honestly, if you do a scouting report on them, if you're defensive wise, you'll take DeAndre Jordan lobs and things of that nature. You just want to take away their threes because that's essentially where they kill you. And you saw with the Clippers, I think the Clippers laid out a good blueprint on how to actually beat the Nets because the Nets had a sizable lead on them for much of the game. It was back and forth, then the Nets got a lead. And then you saw what the Clippers did. They kept hunting out Kyrie Irving and hunting out James Harden to play defense. While here's the problem. If those two guys don't necessarily want to take up the mantle one-on-one, they're either going to get in foul trouble or they're going to get scored on consistently. So right then and there, you find your sieve. Because the same way they want to play up and down, if you play up and down and also you make them guard, that's one of the problems that a lot of people don't do with these super teams consistently. Make the weakest link guard. And what happens is when you make the weakest link guard, let's just say Kyrie's the weakest link, especially in the post, like how Kawhi Leonard was doing. Now that affords your team a chance because the game is slowed down. You get to control the game from the post, and now you have a chance to get against the team, especially for your offense, because now that frees up shooters because now they got a double. Now, if you have DeAndre Jordan coming from the double team, that opens it up for lobs and it shrinks the weak side because the guy has to bump in from the weak side, opens you up for corner threes. So, right then and there, that's like a little miniature blueprint on how to beat them in terms of offensive-wise. Now, defensively, people are going to say like they're unstoppable and things of that nature. But really, what you want them to do is you want them to drive into the lane, tough finishes, and you also just want to take away their three. Because I feel like the three ball is like, of course, it's like the great equalizer, but the way that these guys handle the ball, they want to shoot a lot. So if they don't want to necessarily keep pounding and getting in the paint. They don't want to do that. They don't want to keep getting in the paint and, force for offensive rebounds and things of that nature. The Nets have really shored up a lot of things in this quick minute, when I say a minute, it's 6 game stretch. But what I have to really say is it look good now. It looks good now, but of course, there's little calls here and there. There's still some of those things that people can still exploit. And this is one thing I want people to understand, right? None of these teams are like unbeatable. Like that's what's crazy about it. Like when you saw like Miami get together, they got beat. When you saw the Warriors, besides the injury, if they didn't have injury, then maybe they want to get beat. But maybe that's the only team we can say like it's a super. But the Lakers with Malone and Gary Payton, they got beat. All these teams are beatable. It's not like they're unbeatable. Then you have to factor in health and things of that nature. So teams can be encouraged. The thing is just like you have to stick to the game plan. And this is what I see with like a lot of teams that are weaker minded. They don't stick to the game plan. They just kind of like, oh, like Harden's hot. All right, this is it. We got a game. Kyrie's hot. This game. But even when Kyrie was getting hot, I mean, Harden had 37, Kyrie had like 28 against the Clippers, and the game came down to the wire. I know if KD was there, maybe that changes, but then if KD's there, maybe Harden doesn't get hot, maybe Kyrie doesn't get hot. So these are all the little factors to factor in, but that's the one thing that I want everybody to keep in mind. These guys really are trying to average 30 points per game, each of them. And my thing is, if one of them doesn't sacrifice, there goes your title chances. Hoops Junction, Hoops meets Hoopla. Like, comment, subscribe.